awoken by boisterous yells. As I blink my eyes open, I see the pongo planted on Zach's face. What's going on? Zach leaps off the bed, continuing his scolding, and the pongo scurries under the pillow. I think you scared him.
Get out of there!
He snatches the pillow to reveal the pongo contentedly blobbing over his dischargers. The pongo's eyes are slitted shut, and he wears a silly grin.
Don't even think about it!
Zach scoops up his dischargers and forcibly gives them a shake. The pongo's eyes snap open as he wobbles in the air, clinging for dear life.
Poi!
Zach doesn't cease his shaking, and somehow the pongo seems to be hanging on.
Poi!
His small body jiggles up and down until he finally bounces to the floor.
Poi poi!
He glares daggers at Zach, who is too busy inspecting his discharges to notice. There's a sharp knock at the door. Barely comprehending what's going on, I shuffle to the door and open it a crack.
I heard yelling. Is everything
She cuts off mid-sentence and her eyes grow wide. I look behind me and see Zach dangling his dischargers high in the air while the pongo leaps up to reach it.
These aren't for you to absorb!
Poi!
I'll just wait for you guys downstairs.
Before I can answer, she turns around and walks away. I can't blame her for that. I close the door and start getting dressed. A long while later, I emerge from the room with Pongo sitting in my head. Zach has his dischargers back in their holsters and shoulders his pack. We head downstairs and meet Leanna, who is waiting at one of the tables.
Is everyone ready?
Yep.
Yeah. As long as that thing doesn't come near my dischargers again.
Poi poi!
The Pongo sticks out his tongue. Leanna speaks before the two of them can start again.
All right, then let's hit the road.
With one final nod, she leads the way out of the inn and back into town. The rest of the journey towards Illumia is peaceful, yet uneventful. The Pongo snoozes on my head for most of the way there. Leanna frequently sneaks a peek at him and smiles to herself. Zach keeps to himself and continues to be the lead for fewest lines ever spoken. By midday, I can see the stone buildings of Illumia. We make it through the city gate without incident. Unlike the quaint houses of Meadowhill, Illumia is built taller and grounder. There's more noise as people fill the streets. Zach stares down the side street.
This is me.
I crane my neck and peer into an alcove.
It's a shortcut to the inn.
Leanna nods.
Safe travels. Hopefully our paths will cross again.
Good luck at the Mage Academy.
He heads into the alley. You think we'll ever see him again? She shrugs.
Mercenaries have a way of just popping up. Let's keep moving. The Mage Academy is straight ahead, closer to the center of town.
She points to a looming tower with high steeple. As we get closer, I see that the tower is attached to a castle. Whoa! You studied here?
Yep.
It's definitely looks prestigious. She notices my wonder.
What's your academy like?
I shrug. The usual. There are a lot of students all studying different majors, but we have all required core courses which we have to complete before branding into our majors. Anna nods.
That sounds similar to the Mage Academy. Everyone here must learn magic and casting, but after that, we are able to choose a discipline.
Like becoming a mage knight?
Yeah, that's right.
We begin making our way down the grand streets of Illumia. Once we arrive at the academy, Leanna pushes right through the wrought iron gates and leads me across the expansive quad. Students pass by in flocks, chatting animatedly. Each of them wears nearly identical long cloaks, differing only in color. Leanna glances excitedly at a girl wearing a white cloak. Do you know her?
No, but we're in the same house.
What does that mean?
You can tell by her cloak. White means she's learning wind magic.
I pay more attention to the specific colors. There's white, red, blue, and green. I bet I can guess which color represents what. Wind is white. Red is fire. Blue is water. And green is earth. She grins.
You got it.
We walk past an enclosed field. A young man sporting a green cloak holds a book in one hand. With his other hand, aims his manipulator straight ahead of him. His mouth is pressed in concentration and beads of sweat line his forehead. For a few tense minutes, the earth rumbles beneath him and a dirt spike shoots out of the ground. That was awesome.
Come on!
Leanna pulls on my arm, reverting my attention back to the task at hand. We enter the east wing of the castle and into an open foyer. There are only a scattering of students wandering these halls, and most are accompanied by an adult wearing long black robes. I assume they must be the professors. Leanna scans each professor as we pass, as if looking for someone specific. She leads me up a winding staircase, then grins when she spots an older man with graying hair. His robes are pleated with white stripes, and he carries a staff in one hand.
Professor Orin!
He turns around at the sound of his name and matches Leanna's grin.
Leanna, one of my best and brightest. What a pleasant surprise.
She smiles bashfully at the compliment.
It's great to see you again.
What brings you to the academy?
Actually, I'm here on official business. I'm sure you've heard of the random concentrations of magical energy by now.
Nods.
Well, I found someone who was directly impacted.
She gestures towards me. I shift awkwardly as his gaze falls on me. Although he looks intently at me, I can sense his
What
curiosity.
exactly do you mean by impacted?
I was investigating a report of unusual magic energy in Meadowhill, and it turns out the concentrated energy originated from him.
Professor Orin raises a skeptical eyebrow.
That level of energy would tear a human apart from the inside. Are you sure you weren't mistaken?
My manipulator read the energy level. Maybe we can use the Academy's equipment to scan him again.
Yes, let's do that.
He motions for us to follow him, then turns down the hallway. We arrive in a spacious room. There's a large device on the end of the room, which is separated by a wall of glass. The device has two panels on the side, which stretch up about 8 feet off the ground. On the other side of the room are a handful of students and professors. They consistently focus their manipulators in what I assume to be magical tests, and every so often jot down notes. A couple of pongos openly roam the room, but mostly ignored by the people. If one wanders a little too close to a crystal, a student chases it away. Otherwise, they leave each other be. I thought you said pongos weren't really welcome to society. Leanna looks fondly around the room, a reminiscent smile on her face.
They aren't, but mages tend to like them. Pongos absorb residue energy on the mage from casting, which is surprisingly nice. Kind of feels like a gentle massage.
Professor Orin gives her a soft
Go ahead.
She nods and turns to
We're
me.
gonna take another scan of you now.
You're talking about that huge thing behind the glass, right?
Yeah, it looks intimidating, but it functions the same way as my manipulator.
Alright. One of the students leads me to the device and has me stand between the two panels. There's a crystal mountain on top of each panel. As he closes the glass door behind him, the quiet mumbling of voices is muted into silence. A beam of soft light emits between the crystals and slowly descends towards my head, passing through my torso and disappearing at my feet. And once the light is gone, the same student lets me back into the room. Professor Orin looks grave, while Leanna's mouth is pressed into a firm frown.
This can't be right. Maybe we should scan him again.
Leanna, the levels that you reported would have killed this young man.
Even so, how is it possible that this scan shows he has 0 magical energy?
She holds out her manipulator. just as when we'd first met. A pale light glows. Unlike the initial meeting, as she holds her manipulator closer to me, the light remains unchanged. Leanna's face falls. Professor Oren puts a comforting hand on her shoulder.
Had he just cast it? Perhaps it was magical residue which you had read. As you know, that tends to slowly leave the body after each magic use.
She shakes her head.
It was too high a reading to just be residue.
The last time Leanna used her scanner thing on me, that little glowy light was pulsing like crazy, like it was almost flatlined. It was beeping so much. Professor Oren seems intrigued.
Then perhaps it was a faulty reading from your manipulator.
Perhaps.
I can hear the skepticism in her voice. It seemed to be working fine before. Leanna shakes her head as if asking me not to continue.
I should get back to my students, but I hope I get to see you again.
Professor Oren leaves Leanna's shoulder, one last comforting squeeze before he leaves. While our discussions had been taking place, I noticed the pongos would watch me with interest. A green one starts to gravitate toward us. Maybe it's interested in Leanna's magic? But then, why does it look like he's heading towards me?
Poi?
I look down to see my wobbly blue friend at my feet. Hey, you're back!
Poi!
He bounces on the ground and fixes me with his wide smile. Suddenly he stops and stares at the green pongo, who blinks back to him. He hops towards it and grins.
Poi! Poi poi! Poi!
My pongo's eyes widen.
Poi! Poi poi!
The green pongo grins and hops away, and my pongo follows it. I have no idea what just happened. Why do I feel warm and fuzzy inside? As the pongos run off, a professor in a wheelchair rolls towards us. Although he's lost all his hair, he doesn't seem as old as some of the others.
Leanna.
She doesn't bother containing her surprise.
Professor Xavier!
He smiles at Leanna.
It's always nice to see a familiar face.
Then he turns his attention to me. Nice to meet you, sir.
You as well.
Professor, is there something I can help you with?
Leanna, how high was your original energy reading?
In the thousands.
He creases his brow and ponders quietly.
Tell me, are you familiar with the theory of temporal rifts?
Leanna and I both shake our heads.
In the most basic sense, a temporal rift occurs when the fabric of the universe is torn. In the midst of this tear, there is a moment where the parallel worlds overlap.
Leanna and I glance sharply at each other. Would it be possible to cross between these worlds?
It may be in theory, but it'd be very difficult. After all, that type of travel between worlds would require an immense amount of energy, an amount that no human would be able to manipulate and survive. That's why most elders have dismissed this as nonsense, but listening to all that's been said today, it coincides quite closely with this theory.
For the first time since we've arrived at the school, I begin to feel a glimmer of hope. What more can you share about this theory?
Well, not much, I'm afraid. As I said, most consider it to be either nonsense or too inconsequential to waste their time on. Although there is one man who spent his life developing and researching this theory. He used to be an instructor of this academy.
Is he still in Illumia?
Unfortunately, he left many years ago in search of Ember Mist.
Leanna purses her lips.
The Hidden City.
He nods. If it's hidden, I'm guessing it'll be hard to find. Before he can respond, a student with 2 long pigtails strides over.
Please allow me to accompany you on your quest.
Professor Xavier replies sternly.
Absolutely not.
Could you elaborate on your disapproval? This is an excellent opportunity to further my research and education.
This is not a Mage Academy-sponsored expedition, so there won't be mages around to protect you. It's a dangerous journey, especially given the fact that no one knows the location of Ember Mist.
The girl stays silent, and I can practically see the cogs in her head spinning as she contemplates his words. Finally, she nods.
Understood.
As soon as she finishes speaking, she turns her head and walks away. What just happened?
Pay her no mind. That's just how she is.
Who is she?
That's Amelia Estelle, the university's prodigy. She's only a teenager, but already a mage caster, which means she can manipulate 2 different elements at the same time.
I flashed her a grateful smile for automatically explaining what a mage caster is. I'm guessing mage casters are usually a little older than a teen? Leanna grins.
Just a little. Most mage casters are in their 40s.
My eye widened. She must really be something special then.
Anyway, thank you for all of your help, Professor.
I'm sorry I wasn't able to be more helpful, but I wish you the best of luck on your journey.
After saying goodbye, his wheelchair moves on its own and pushes him out of the room. Whoa! Did his wheelchair just move by itself?
Not quite. He's using wind magic to push it along.
The more I see magic in use, the more I wish I could use it.
What did you think of everything the professor said?
It sounds exactly like what happened to me. We should find this Ember Mist city and talk to the professor there. She nods.
Unfortunately, no one knows how to get there. Let's stop by the inn. Since it's a hub for travelers from all over, there's bound to be someone who knows something.
That sounds like our best course of action. Once agreed, Leanna leads the way out of the academy. I follow her through the twisting roads of Illumia. When asked why we are taking so many turns, she said she wanted to avoid the marketplace, which would be crowded with people we wouldn't be able to walk through. Soon we reach the inn. The place is a lot larger than any other inn we've stayed at so far. Along with the smoothly crafted dining tables, there's a fireplace along the far wall with labeled jars on the mantel. The place is fairly busy for this time of day, and only a couple of tables are open. Per usual, Leanna speaks with the innkeeper. I see him point towards a couple by the fireplace. When she returns, she drops a key in my hand.
Here's the key to your room. I figured we're going to be spending the night here.
I nod as I pocket my key.
The innkeeper doesn't know how to get to Ember Mist, but he says that couple comes from the far desert. They might know.
Maybe we should split up. We can cover more ground that way.
Good idea. I'll go talk to that couple first.
Okay. As Leanna walks off, I survey the room. The loner types usually travel the world, don't they? I approach the man sitting alone in the far corner of the inn. His head is down as he nurses a tankard, and once I get close, I recognize him. Zach? His head shoots up, and he stares at me with those familiar stoic eyes.
Oh, it's you.
You, finished whatever it is you came here to do?
Yep.
Cool. He's still just as talkative as ever.
You finish up at the academy?
Yeah, it was interesting.
Mages usually are.
One of them told me about a city called Ember Mist. Zach snorts.
Sending you on a wild goose chase, huh?
I guess that means you don't know where it is either?
Nope.
Well, it was worth a shot. Alright, well, it was good seeing you. He nods. I approach the pretty redhead by the bar. Hey there. She smiles.
Hi.
Are you looking to join a party?
I can be.
I sit down beside her. Have you been here long? She gives me a curious look.
Long enough to know that I haven't seen you before.
I'm just passing through.
Oh, where are you headed?
To Ember Mist. Suddenly her smile drops. That's not the reaction I was expecting.
Ember Mist doesn't exist.
I frown. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Alright. Never mind then. Her smile drops again, and she grabs her drink. She sways her hips as she walks and approaches a man who's drinking alone. The alluring smile returns as she sits down beside him and touches his hand. Wait a minute. Is she a consort? Let's pretend that didn't just happen. Looks like I'm not having much luck. I wonder how Leanna's doing. Judging from her pout, she had about as much success as I did. We make our way back to the bar.
Greetings.
Amelia waits for us by the bar, and I'm startled to see her presence. Leanna looks just as shocked.
What are you doing here?
I've come to accompany you on your journey.
Professor Xavier made it very clear that you were to stay at the Academy.
His logic is rational, but my presence and assistance is far more beneficial for you than it is for me to remain at the Academy.
What assistance?
I am aware of the location of Ember Mist.
How is that possible?
How I know is irrelevant.
Alright. If you know, then tell us where it is.
I will gladly impart this knowledge unto you should you accept me as a travel companion.
But the Academy won't let you go.
She shrugs.
If I cannot go, then I suppose neither can you.
Leanna bites her lip. I can tell she's torn. This is a bad idea.
I know, but she's her only lead.
Yeah. But is it worth the fury of the entire academy? Leanna frowns.
I'm not happy about this either, but what else can we do?
We struck out when we tried to ask the patrons in the end. Other than Amelia, I doubt we'll find anyone else who can lead us to Ember Mist. Maybe I'm in the wrong, and we should take her. Now I'm just confusing myself. I don't know. Leanna runs her hand through her hair as she thinks. She steals glances at Amelia, who watches us with hawk eyes. Finally, Leanna's expression softens and she nods.
Fine. You can come with us, but only on the condition that you let us bring extra protection.
That is a logical conclusion. I am not opposed to it.
All right. I'll see if I can find some mages last minute.
No!
Both Leanna and I stare at Amelia.
Mages will alert the Academy of our proposal.
And then they wouldn't let us go.
Correct.
I suppose that makes sense.
She taps a finger on her chin.
I guess the only other option is to hire a mercenary.
I agree. I have just the person in mind. I lead the two of them to where Zack is sitting.
Hey, Zack!
He looks up from his tankard. If he's surprised, he doesn't show
I
it.
didn't expect to see you so soon.
We were feeling a little bit of separation anxiety. To my surprise, Zack cracks a smile.
I'm actually here to do business.
Zack cocks his head
You
slightly.
have my attention.
We need protection for our newest companion.
She nods towards Amelia, who merely stares at Zack. Gives her a once-over.
Isn't she a mage?
Yes, but a student.
That is not an accurate description. I am...
Leanna glares at her.
A student.
While not untrue, I have fulfilled the necessary curriculum to be considered.
Amelia!
Leanna is clearly exasperated. Amelia cocks her head to the side and studies Leanna curiously. Anyway, what were you trying to ask are you for hire and will you accept this job? Zack pauses and takes a long swig from his drink. He looks from me to Leanna to Amelia, then pauses again. Finally, he nods.
All right.
Really? That's great! We're headed to Ember Mist.
Zack raises an eyebrow at me.
You found someone who knows the way.
Yeah. I point to Amelia.
Interesting.
Alright. Now with that we have our team, what do we do now?
There's no point in beginning our journey when the sun is almost gone.
That's true.
I should return to the Academy before my disappearance is observed.
Good idea. We can reconvene here tomorrow morning.
The three of us leave Zack alone and Amelia heads out of the inn. Just as she leaves, a group of young adults burst in. They laugh loudly, and their cheeks are flushed as if from dancing or running. A circlet of flowers is on each of their heads. Leanna gasps.
Oh, the festival!
Festival?
Yeah, it's a celebration of the spring equinox. Do you want to go check it out?
Sure. Sounds fun. Leanna grins.
It is. It's one of my favorite festivals.
We exit the inn. Although the moon has traded places in the sky with the sun, the streets are still bustling with people. Leanna and I follow the crowd until we reach town square. Colored strings of crystal lights hang from the large cherry trees lining the perimeter of the square. Their lights spill soft rainbows on the smiling faces of the townsfolk. The heavenly aroma of spices and grilled meat entices me towards the festivities. A simple stand is set up on one side of the square, where musicians play a jaunty tune. They tap their feet in time with the beat as dancers whirl around in the center of the square. As we pass through the square, giggling girls offer circlets of flowers. Leanna happily accepts hers and lets the girl place it on her head.
It's so beautiful. Everything looks so different.
Her eyes sparkle as she taps her feet to the rhythm of the music as she watches the pairs of dancers jumping and twirling. For the first time since we met, Leanna's face holds no trace of caution. My eyes are drawn to her as her smile lights up her entire face. She turns towards me and I quickly look away. I hope she didn't catch me staring.
Would you like to dance?
Sure, but I've never danced like that before.
Oh? How do you normally dance?
Her eyes glitter as she waits expectantly. I awkwardly step from side to side. Somehow I'm dancing even worse than usual, and I'm not even keeping in time with the beat. Leanna hides a giggle.
Let me show you how we do it here.
She takes my hands in hers and pulls me to a more secluded area on the dance floor.
For this song, we're gonna raise our right hands up like this so they touch.
She bends her elbow and holds her arm at eye level. Then she moves my arm so it matches hers. I can feel the warmth of her fingers as they brush my own.
Our hands will stay here, and then we use our right foot to step to the right. Then left foot back. Then we'll shift our weight front and back in a ball change.
As she speaks, she demonstrates the steps.
Then we do the same thing on the left. Left foot left, right foot back, and ball change. Then we step to the right and spin from behind. Come on, try it with me.
Alright. We get into position and Leanna counts up.
5, 6, 7, 8.
First I step. Matching Leanna, I step with my right foot.
That's it.
Then I step with my left foot to the back and do a ball change. Next we do the same thing on the left side. Then we step with our right foot and spin. I step to the right and spin from behind. Leanna and I are a step apart. Did we do this right? Are we supposed to be this far apart?
Yeah. Normally, we'd be facing our new partners, and we do the whole thing over again, starting with our left foot. And once that's done, we'll be facing each other again.
We go through the steps another time, and I manage to dance it perfectly.
Wow, you're a natural! Are you sure you've never done this before?
Her warm grin is infectious, and I find myself grinning just as proudly. It's because I had such a great teacher. Her cheeks flush, and she's about to reply. Our gazes meet. Leanna's breath catches in her throat, and she seems to forget what she was about to say. For a second, I forget about the crowds of people around us. All I can see is her. Then someone jostles us, and we quickly look away. What just happened here? I catch her glancing at me, and she smiles shyly.
So, do you think you're ready to join the rest of the dancers?
I'm game if you are. I hold out my hand, and she accepts it with that same coy smile. Then I lead her out to the dance floor. We dance late into the night until our feet ache and our throats grow hoarse from laughing. The party is still going strong as Leanna and I return to the inn and head into our separate rooms. I haven't had that much fun in ages. As I fall into my bed, I enter dreamland and an immense smile on my face. The next morning, we regroup downstairs at the inn as planned.
Is everyone now prepared to begin our journey?
We nod.
Then let us depart.
She leads the way out of the inn and back into the quiet city. Remnants of last night's festival litter the ground in a series of petals and general debris. The cleanup detail is hard at work. They wear thick gloves as they half-heartedly remove the decorations and debris. I wonder how long they've been working on this. The festivities continued even after I threw in my hat and went to bed. Leanne and I share a glance and she smiles. We follow Amelia through the twists and turns of the city. Where exactly are we going now?
To the Crystal Rail Station.
Crystal Rail. Sounds like it might be a train. Leanna speaks up before I even ask.
Where are we taking the crystal rail to?
Bazada.
She looks up in surprise.
Ember Mist is in Bazada?
They say you can find anything there.
She shoots Zack a look, which he returns with his usual stony gaze. So, what's so surprising about Basada?
It's just closer than I expected.
No, Ember Mist is not within Bazada, but Bazada is the closest station to the location of Ember Mist.
Rihanna still seems skeptical, but doesn't push it. I guess we'll find out whether or not Amelia is right. We continue the rest of the way in silence. After a few minutes, we arrive at the station. The setup is a simpler version of our train stations back home. The ticket booth is right across from the entrance. While they sort out retrieving tickets, I look around. Vendors selling food and trinkets line perimeter of the enclosed space. The building is mostly empty at this time of morning.
We must hurry if we wish to catch the next crystal rail. It is nearing the platform.
Once we get our tickets, we rush down the back hallway, which opens up to the platform. Arriving onto the platform is a sleek bullet train, porcelain white with windows dotting the sides. My jaw drops as I watch it hover over the tracks. A pair of long crystal rows run along the bottom of the train, with identical crystal rows lining the track. I feel almost giddy as we line up to board. I can't believe I'm about to ride a hover train! Leanna cocks her head to the side.
Is this not something you're used to?
Not exactly. We have trains too, but most of them run on diesel and electricity. The original models were powered by steam. Leanna's eyes widen.
That must be some powerful magic.
That's not magic. That's just boiling water. This is magic. Leanna smiles.
Poi.
The Pongo eyes the crystals on the train, his mouth open in anticipation. Leanna notices and snatches him up. He wriggles at first, but after she gives him a few pats on the head, he calms down and grins at her. We are about to board the train when the attendant stops us.
Sorry, Pongas are not allowed due to equipment which are sensitive to energy absorption.
Oh,
Leanna looks sadly at the blue guy in her arms.
I'm sorry, my friend, but I think this is where we say goodbye.
He blinks back at her in confusion, a worried smile on his face. Leanna's lips tremble.
I'm sorry.
She gives him a final hug and sets him down on the ground. Then with glassy eyes full of tears, she rushes into the train. The Pongo blinks. Amelia cocks her head to the side and looks at it. The Pongo mimics her.
I have not known you long, but I will be saddened to see you go.
She nods and then hops onto the train. Zack looks at the Pongo and instinctively his hand protects his guns.
Try not to eat anyone else's weapon.
The Pongo blinks at Zack's retreating form. Finally, it's my turn. He blinks and grins. I didn't expect this to be so difficult. He cocks his head to the side and tries again. Sorry, little buddy, but this is as far as we can go together. He tries to hop up on my shoulder as he's done so many times in the past, but I don't let him. Sorry, but you have to stay here. I quickly turn away and head into the train. While other people board the train, I join the rest of my group. Leanna tries to control her sniffles while Amelia looks down at her feet. Zack acts as casual as always, but the nod he gives me feels lackluster. We're all feeling the loss of Pongo. He was my first friend when I came to this world. After we had a moment to compose ourselves, we searched for our train cabin. We passed through a few cars before we finally find our cabin towards the end of the train. Amelia slides open the door, then shuts it immediately.
Impossible.
What's going on? She opens the door again, and we all peer inside. Inside the cozy cabin are plush seats, a rack above the seats to hold any luggage, and a rectangular table in the center. There's also a Pongo bouncing happily on the seats.
Pongo!
Leanna squeals excitedly and scoops him back up into a big hug. We all file into the cabin after her and shut the door before anyone notices the Pongo. When Leanna notices our stares, she clears her throat and sets him back down.
But how did you get in here?
Seriously, weren't you just outside a second ago? How'd you get in here and find our cabin before we did?
Impossible.
I think the Pongo broke Amelia. Zack, as unfazed as always, plops down into one of the seats and leans back.
Some things just can't be explained.
With how often the Pongo seems to disappear and reappear unexpectedly, you'd think we'd be used to it by now. I take a seat as well, and the Pongo hops into my lap. Leanna pouts as the Pongo moves away from her. Amelia seems to have recomposed herself and also takes a seat. Not much later, I feel the jerk of the train departing, and hear the calming hum of the engine. Both Leanna and Amelia stare out the window. Zack has his head down and his arms crossed. I think he may be asleep, but it's hard to tell. Remembering how I found him at the campsite, I can only assume this guy can literally sleep anywhere. My eyes feel droopy too. I really went all out last night and did not get enough sleep. I doubt anyone will mind if I just caught up on a few hours of sleep I lost. When I awaken, everyone else is awake too and looking more bored than ever. Only the Pongo snoozes in my lap. How long was I asleep for? Leanna glances at me.
Just a few hours.
Are we almost there?
No. We will not arrive before tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeesh. What am I going to do with all the spare time? I automatically reach into my pocket to pull out my phone, forgetting for a second that it doesn't work. Shoot. But then my hand closes in on something actually equally good. I pull out my deck of cards and lay them out on the table. Leanna cranes her neck to see better.
What do you have there?
My cards. I cut the deck and shuffle them. Want to play something? There's enough people here that we can play cheat.
How do you play that?
It's easy. Each round, you'll put a card from your hand face down on the center of the table and say what card it is, like this. I put down one of the cards as an example. 1 king. Then everyone else at the table can decide whether or not I'm telling the truth. If you think I'm lying, you call out cheater, and I'll have to reveal the card. If I was lying, then I take all the cards in the pile. If I was telling the truth, then whoever accused me takes all the cards in the pile and the next person starts a new round. You win by having no cards in your hand.
Sounds like fun. I'll play.
Amelia looks thoughtful.
Although I have not partaken in this game before, this sounds like it would be a stimulating challenge.
I glance at Zach. You in? He shakes his head.
I'll pass.
Leanna frowns.
Why not? I know that mercenaries love card games. And it's not like there's much else to do while we wait.
It's just not my type of game.
As a mercenary, I think I know can spark his interest. What if we play for money? Zach sits up and looks at me.
I thought you didn't have money.
Well, I do have money. I fish in my pockets and drop loose change I have on the table. It's just not usable here. Amelia leans in close and peers at the money. Even Leanna takes on an interested glance.
I fail to recognize this type of currency.
Well, I'm not exactly from Asaria. Amelia stares intently at me again. After a long pause, she looks back at the coin.
I see.
I point out the different types of change I have. Make sure you get the pennies. They're the most valuable.
Are these not made from copper?
Yes.
And the nickel would be made from nickel.
Also yes.
Then suffice it as to say, should not the nickel be more valuable than the penny?
She got me. Zach leans back into his seat.
If it's not money I can use, then I'm not interested.
Zach,
I will pay you for his coins.
Zach sits back up.
Go on.
For any coin of his you receive, I will trade you one of our coins.
Amelia, you really don't have to do that.
I know.
Leanna looks uneasily between Zach and Amelia.
All right. Deal.
As Zach settles in, I deal out the cards. Zach frowns when he looks at his hand.
These cards are strange.
Like I said, I'm not from Asaria. I give a brief rundown of the suits and the face cards. When I look up from my hand, I see Amelia staring at me. This is getting a little uncomfortable. Let's start the bet. We all throw our coins on the table. I'll go first. I drop a card face down on the table. 110. Silence, no one reacts. Okay. Leanna, it's your go.
Okay.
She slides a card onto the table, her face completely blank.
1, 2.
Bet she's telling the truth. Nobody else calls her out either. Amelia's go. Her face even more stoic than Leanna's. Amelia places a card onto the table.
1 queen.
Cheater! Amelia flips over a card to reveal the Queen of Hearts. Shoot. I grab the pile. Amelia never slips out of her poker face. Finally, it's Zach's go. In usual Zach fashion, he stoically sips the card down.
2 8s.
Cheater.
Whoa, she was fast. Without breaking from his poker face, he flips over the card and reveals different cards than 8s. Silently, he collects the pile. We count how many cards each person has in their hands, and whoever has the lowest number so far collects the first round of bets. Then we throw in our next round of bets. Okay, me again. Better stick with truth. Maybe I should mess with them a little. I purposely let it slip on my face that I might be lying. 2 3s. Leanna calls me out.
Cheater!
I flip over my cards to reveal 2 3s.
You tricked me.
I grin as she grabs the cards. Leanna looks slightly worried at her hand, then smooths her face.
2 aces.
I bet she was faking her worry and is telling the truth. Better not risk it.
Cheater.
Leanna grins as she flips over 2 aces. Zach wordlessly collects the cards. Good thing I stayed silent. Amelia puts down her cards.
2 7s.
Her poker face is just too good. I can't tell if she's cheating or not, so I'm going to stay silent. Nobody else calls her out. Without delay, Zach lays down his cards.
2 5s.
Before anyone else has a chance to react, Amelia calls out.
Cheater.
Zach grumbles under his breath as he collects the pile. Amelia looks smug at Zach as Zach disgruntledness. The bet for this round goes to the winner, and we start a new pot. Back to me again. Time to trick everyone. I have a terrible poker face, and push to keep my face still, which only draws more attention to me as I slip 2 cards into the table. All 3 voices ring out at once.
Cheater.
Cheater.
Cheater!
I sigh and flip over my cards to reveal a 2 of hearts. Leanna lays down her card, looking confident.
1 king.
Cheater!
Nope.
She flips over her card to reveal a king. Shoot. I should have seen that coming. I collect the card. Amelia wears the same stony face and slips down a card.
1 jack.
Cheater! Amelia wordlessly flips over the card to reveal a 10 of clubs. She slips it back into her hand. Zach plays his card.
1 6.
Again, Amelia is faster than anyone else.
Cheater.
Zach growls in frustration.
How do you know every single time?
Amelia just stares at him with her same blank stare, which frustrates Zach even more.
This is the dumbest game ever.
He throws his cards down on the table and knocks over the coins before crossing his arms. Leanna jumps away from the table as Zach hits it, her eyes wide. I'm a little taken aback and jolt back, which wakes the Pongo. Only Amelia remains unfazed.
Poi poi?
So, should we keep playing?
Of course.
Zach picks up his cards. Leanna and I glance at each other and burst out laughing. At first, Amelia looks at us in bewilderment, but our laughter is so contagious that she breaks a smile.
Are we playing or what?
We resume the game with smiles all around. The longer we played, the more into the game everyone became. Needless to say, Amelia correctly guessed Zach's cheat every single time, much to Zach's ever-growing frustration. In the end, I won the game with the first to run out of cards. When we were tired of cheat, I taught them a couple other games. It was late into the night when we all decided to turn in and go to sleep.